This book was written by Charles Haanel a long time ago, and the principles still apply here today. It is incredibly simple, and the thing with the truth is that it doesn't have to be proven back by science with essays and case studies. The truth is very simple, and it should be so simple that a 7-year-old can understand, comprehend, and use these principles. And that's what this book is like. It is powerful in the simplicity of its words and its points, and it works. We've been living on this planet. We know that we have a mind, and in previous chapters we covered the conscious and subconscious mind and those activities. We know that we have the free will, the choice to think whatever we want, and that is our privilege, that is our gift. But what we think is followed by laws, natural laws. The result of those thoughts that we are freely able to think have the results by natural laws of creation. And in this book, in this part, Charles Haanel covers the ideas of good and evil, what any good and any evil comes down to, since we have this freedom to think, and the stability of this platform of our existence. We know that we have the freedom to think, and the platform, the stability of our existence determines the results. We have the power over the cause, and nature takes care of the effect. The whole idea about good and evil that Haanel explains is that we can have good or evil thoughts, and those thoughts will lead to actions. And those actions, we will call them, if they are beneficial or not, we will call it evil, or we will call it good. So the starting point for any good or any evil is in our own thoughts, because any words or actions or circumstances are preceded by our own thoughts. And the good thoughts that I'm talking about here are thoughts that are in line with creation, the creative principle of the universe, which is a part of us, which is where we are existing, and we have that part of us inside of us. So anything that is constructive, that is directed towards growth, that is directed towards harmony, peace, those are constructive thoughts. And anytime we are thinking those thoughts, we will act in a way, and the result of those actions, we will call it good. And anything that is out of line with the harmony, with peace, anything that is destructive and harmful will cause us to act in a way that we will call it evil. So therefore, by understanding these laws and this concept, all we have to do is think constructively. We do not have to move mountains and uproot the world. We have to think constructively and in line with the creative principle of the universe. And this is actually mental labor, which is sometimes the hardest kind of labor to do because we don't want to think or to change our mind. What we have to do right now is to substitute constructive thoughts with thoughts that are not in harmony with our purpose and the creative principles of the universe. We have to substitute any thought that will not get us to our end, our goal, the direction that we're going in. We need to take those thoughts and substitute them with something better. And this happens by analyzing our thoughts. Not very often are we analyzing our thoughts. Are we aware that we are even thinking? We are watching a video on the Master Key System right now talking about thoughts, so that may act in a way to get us to think about thoughts because we hear somebody talking about it. But how many times a day are we reminded to look at our thoughts, to analyze our thoughts? By analyzing our thoughts, we can tell if this thought is in harmony with the direction that I'm going in, with my life's purpose. And if we analyze the thought and we say, no, this is not a harmonious thought, this will not take me to a positive, definite end, we need to release that thought and give it away and stop holding on to it. What we can do, though, is substitute those inharmonious, tragic thoughts that will not get us anywhere where we're going and substitute it with something that is from our imagination. Our imagination has the capacity to dream up and conceive and create these ideals that we are actually going towards, that we are actually shooting for before we even get there. So the power of the imagination can see, can feel, can build that hope and excitement inside of us before we actually get there and cross that finish line. The builders and the construction workers cannot start building any building before they get the blueprints. And where do the blueprints come from? They come from the architect who draws up all this stuff. And where does the architect get these blueprints, the creators get this from their imagination. They are thinking and dreaming about certain things, and when it gets put down into paper, that is the first step of material realization, and then it gets passed on to get built. So what we are doing is using our imagination to create the blueprint, and by creating that blueprint in our mind, feeling and seeing where we are going, our visions that we're going to, will actually work as the blueprint, and the universe and natural law will do its part in building and creating that reality for us. Therefore, all we need to do is to trust the mechanism of the universe and build our ideas, think positive, constructive thoughts that are going in our direction, and all we have to do is embody it, to visualize it, to be it, to see it, and therefore the universe and nature and our own reality will take care of itself. Once we hold these ideas dear to our heart that are in line with our purpose, it will start to manifest those opportunities, those people, those situations that we could never draw up on ourselves. They will start to appear because we have those blueprints in our mind, so now reality knows what to construct for us. So what we need to do is to think of and hold in our mind what we want. The law of attraction will bring us what our dominant mental attitude is. So when we do a maybe guided meditation, or we hear a sermon, or a speech about something, and we feel good, we feel motivated, that's only for a few minutes. What are we thinking for 90% of the day? That is our dominant mental attitude. That is when we need to analyze our thoughts. What is spinning in our mind most of the time, at work, soon as we wake up, when we're walking down the street, to just check in and to see what thoughts are spinning in our mind, and we can discard the ones that we don't need, and we can hold in our mind the next ideal step in the direction that we're going to. What will it feel like? How will it look? The feelings associated with it, and saying thank you that this is actually happening, because you're really embodying it and activating as many senses as possible, rather than a passive, far off, sideline kind of a thought. Analyzing our thoughts is probably not something that we've done before. It may feel awkward, it may feel weird, it may feel like we're doing something that we shouldn't be doing. But when we do this, this is mental labor, and we are developing the power of our mind and our omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient power of the creative universe is inside of us, and recognizing that power, that we have the choice. If there's anything that we have control over, is what we think. That is the only thing that we have control over, and that is the power that we're going to use for ourselves to bring for us the realities that we're looking to create. All right, and before we get into our practical step, it can seem kind of difficult, it can seem hard, it can seem redundant and pointless, and why am I going to analyze my own thoughts? Why would I look into my own mind? It's scary there, what am I going to find? But what we need to realize is that to obtain the life that we want to live, the things that we want, to enjoy our experience here, we do have to develop the power of the mind. The power of the mind will grant us all of these things that we want: the abundance of life, the removal of suffering and pain. Why? Because we can control and use our mind intentionally. Our mind is our greatest power that we have. It governs our body, it governs how we act, it governs what we think, and it governs the results and circumstances that come into our life. So this whole thought thing, looking into our thoughts, training our thoughts, it seems like this laborious task, but it's up for us to choose what we want to labor in and our experience. If we want to train our mind, use it intentionally, it will take work, it will take practice, it will take mistakes and lessons to learn, but it might be worth it when we consider the alternative of living in ignorance and saying that the world is giving me something and this is what I have to deal with, but instead we want to take control, we want to regain our own power, our own spiritual power that lies within inside of us, and control these functions of body and mind to get us in the direction of our purpose, towards our higher cause, towards things that actually mean something to us in the way that we want to go there. So in the previous practical step, what we did was we closed our eyes, we followed all the steps to settle ourselves, and then we imagined our friend. as we last saw them, and we had a conversation and they were having expressions and they were joking and things like that. So that was a internal mental conversation developed by our imagination. Now in this step, we're going to follow those same steps, but what we are going to do with our mind is backtrack an item to its origination, to its whatever it is, an ordinary item, and we're going to follow it back. Charles Haanel does a great example of a submarine in this chapter. I'm going to do something as simple as this pencil. There are things in this world and in this life, in our everyday life, that we look at and we don't even acknowledge how this got here or how this even exists. But once we start to look into things and we say that, sometimes these ordinary items, there's more to it. So this is a pencil. This may look like any ordinary pencil we don't even look at. You may not have even touched one of these since grade school. So what this is a piece of wood. This is a piece of wood with lead inside the middle of it, perfectly shaped to fit in our hand, with metal and a little piece of rubber at the back. And if I wanted to create something like this, I wouldn't even know where to begin. And this is one of the most simplest things that we have in our existence, that we see, that we use every day. And this is a tool. This is a tool for people to write messages, to write letters, to express themselves, to release their thoughts in a journal, to write news articles, information. And throughout history, writing and literature have been very important. And if we look back, further back, to the point of where this pencil doesn't even exist, we can think of why somebody wanted to create a pencil or to have their writings stay permanent. Why would they want to do that? Some people express themselves greatly through writing, and they may not be a speaker or an actor, but they love to write and format their words and body, middle, and conclusion, paragraph type stuff. So we can imagine that the creative principle of a human being wanting to express themselves through literature, poetry, stories, whatever it is, needed something to write with. And this desire of the imagination to write something down in word form created the need, the motivation, the circumstance, and the result of inventing a pencil. And if we follow items like this and we look below the surface on everyday things that come across us, we find that, all these meaningless things that fly by us on a day-to-day basis are not actually meaningless. They are actually very important and have close ties to us because we are creative individuals and we want to express ourselves. So the creative principle that is within us is within everything in this universe. And that's how this pencil got created. And when we look deeper, we find these are not meaningless things around us. These are all some of the most vital, important things in our existence. And before we end off here, there's a wonderful Sanskrit quote here that I will read. "Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lies all the verities and realities of your existence, the bliss of growth, the glory of action, the splendor of achievement. For yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision. And today, well lived, makes yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day." So that's part 8 of the Master Key System. I hope you enjoyed it. Drop any questions or comments. We're going to keep going on this journey. And if there's any points that you want me to bring up or recap, drop a comment, let me know. Thank you for hanging around on this journey. Take care until next time.